TESS is incredibly important because if you use to create change and to create sustainable change. And I think that for me, I went to school for 20 years, right? To create change and address the complex issues within my communities. And you get out of school and you have all this knowledge, but you really don't know how to put it into practice, and you don't know how to bring people together, again, to create these holistic solutions to these complex problems. And so that's why TESS is really important, is that it's taking everything to the next level so that you can create sustained change and do transformative work.
Yeah, that's what I saw as well. I mean, I perceived this need. I had, scientists saying, gosh, I wish I could find a way for my research to be used, and stakeholders saying, we wish we knew what the science was. And so there was this need to figure out a way, a method, to bring those two groups together. And it's difficult to do, and I think all of us learned how to do it without training. But I think we collectively decided that, hey, we can put together our expertise, our lessons learned, and help other people follow this path without having to do it all by experience.
Yeah, each of us has spent a lot of time learning on the job, as it were. And we did a little experiment trying out some of the TESS material with some graduate students and early career professionals. And they were just so hungry for the material and to learn more about the background and how to apply it. There's a real need out there, and people are excited about it, and that gets us all jazzed up to work on this.
Yeah, I think so. And for me, the idea of the problems we're working on, all of us are working on, are large-scale, transformative problems. And I feel like the education system that we've all come up through, actually, doesn't really prepare you particularly well to deal with these large transformative problems. And I feel like TESS is actually meant to sort of tackle head-on, transformative problems in the way that Connie described, which is bringing together, different communities to work on a problem. And I feel like TESS is carving out a unique spot, which allows us to sort of integrate these different ways of thinking about things in order to solve problems, which universities really, frankly, aren't that good at doing.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about where, you're trying to address exposures to contaminants at a federally managed Superfund site or contaminated site, or you're trying to figure out the best, fire management plan, or how to save more water in the desert, and you can't do these, or you can't solve these challenges by yourself. And you can't solve them with one discipline, and you can't solve them with one type of stakeholder. And that interaction and bringing people together, though it sounds simple to say, it is not. And there is the interpersonal and then the community level experience that has to be understood to effectively bring people together to truly build trust, partnership, and co-generate solutions.
And I think that, we talk a lot, scientists now talk a lot about science communication. And I think that for us, it's more than communication. It's really the engagement. It's the collaboration, which is really maybe starts with communication, but really it's so much more than that.
Yeah, we've learned that it's really important to develop a community of learning. And what we hear from the resource managers and others that we work with is that it's important to put the community first and establish the relationships, as Connie said, so that it's easier to work on the science questions that are at the heart of taking on these challenging issues.
Yeah, and I find in my own work, I think there's still a perception in the world that science can solve some of these problems. And of course, we all know from experience that it's really not how it works. Science brings knowledge to the table, but it doesn't really solve problems. So without this process that you've all described, it's practically impossible to actually address these large-scale problems like contaminated sites or climate change or some of the big problems that we're working on. It really requires more than science, and I think that's sort of at the heart of TESS, is bringing in other ways of knowing into big problems.